Hello, hello. I am standing because I have been sitting a little bit too much today. So, getting in here, I'm going to pull up my notes. We hope that you all are having a fantastic week so far. Obviously, we're at the halfway point for most of us who work a regular work week, which I think that's most of us anyways. And so today's topic is going to be really about becoming the person that you want to be. When we start to set goals and fitness on this fitness journey, I really feel like the fitness and health journey kind of bleeds into so many other things. And I don't like the word manifesting. I know I might have mentioned that last week. It's kind of popping up a lot because what it's really ideally saying is that we're trying to speak into existence what we want to become, who we want to be, and you have to start identifying yourself as that person. And this is, again, taken strictly from Atomic Habits too, about basically speaking into things like, I am going to be a healthy, active person. Today, I am going to do this and this and this and this. And making that narrative repeat over and over and over again in your head, because then you start to believe it and become it. And I think we could all recognize that is legit. It's not woo-woo, because if you think about all the negative thoughts that you think on a regular basis, or when you look in the mirror and you judge yourself right away, or, you're just, it's easy to go to the negative as opposed to the positive. And so this is an encouragement to make sure that narrative is different for you. So some thoughts and some notes that I had, I'm just kind of pulling up, is really when you're talking about who do I want to be? What does that look like long term? Obviously, you have to define your vision. Clearly figure out, who is that? What is that person? If you were to see yourself 5 years from now, where do you want to be? What do you want to accomplish? And I think it's a really great exercise to get as specific as possible and sit down and have a moment of journaling it out and figuring out, what does that look like? And as you start to build that person of who you want to be 5 years from now, or maybe even a year from now, you want to start picking out things that person would do on a regular basis to get to that point. If you're somebody who wants to have a strong physique, you want to feel healthy, you want to feel strong, you want to be active, you want to be able to climb a mountain or a hill or hiking or something like that without gassing out or feeling miserable. These are things of like, well, what would that person do to build up to that? And it can really work into your marriage, your relationships, your career. It's kind of like, who is that person and what does that look like? And then that's when we start kind of fitting around things. And that's when we get, the goals. That's where we start kind of aiming for, okay, what's that first goal that I want to attain? And obviously in this community, our focus is helping people lose fat and keep it off for good. So the habits that we're instilling and slowly putting into your day-to-day life is meant to sustain that long term. Another thing to think about is really being open to self-reflection and awareness. And I think that's one reason that's beautiful about this coaching relationship too, is that it forces you to stop and think and reflect on what you've been doing. That's why we do weekly check-ins. That's why we do Zoom chats and connect, virtually, at least face-to-face, to kind of touch base and make sure that those things are happening, that you're able to follow the roadmap, that it's fit into your lifestyle, and you've got an advocate trying to help you aim for those specific goals. Because obviously some of the health stuff we talk about bleeds into other things of our day-to-day life too. And I think one of the things too to also expand on is learning and acquiring knowledge in this area. And that's one reason why we recommend the book Atomic Habits, or we get it for y'all, is because it is one of those foundations to start with this process. It's why I talk about Mel Robbins' podcast, for example. It's where we look for other resources and, in a sense, maybe some more self-help style books. But we also want you to apply those things that you learn as opposed to just reading through a bunch of content. So that's why we really advocate for, Atomic Habits is kind of our textbook, for when it comes to habits and goals. And then you can kind of figure out what else, if obviously there's other things spiritually. If you're a believer, there's something in your faith and your Bible reading and all of that can play a role, and whatever other goals you might have. But it never hurts to keep expanding knowledge in this area to see, what are the things that I can enhance, or what nuggets can I take that really work for me, because it's about customization too. I'd say also another thing to kind of indicate if you're trying to be somebody that's a little bit different from who you are now, or goals that you have, or things you want to accomplish, or places you want to travel or go see, sometimes your circle can influence too your success. I can relate to that in that when we were in Oregon, our environment wasn't necessarily super positive for a healthy lifestyle. We had really great people and really great friends there, but a lot of the times we'd find ourselves every weekend drinking and hanging out, drinking and hanging out. And that was kind of on repeat for a lot, which is one of the ways we, gained weight in the first place. So sometimes you have to figure out, like, if that is your circle and that's not going to change, what can you do personally to improve that? If, truly, we're not trying to like excommunicate people who are good in our lives. Obviously, if they're not good in our lives, we need to reevaluate that. But when you start to find and seek out relationships and friendships and just in areas that you're trying to improve upon, it bleeds, it inspires you on the outside. If you hang out with people who are healthy and active, it's easier for you to be healthy and active. That's one reason why we've obviously pivoted to helping couples, is because if couples are in it together, you are more successful doing it together or doing it with somebody. And that can be the same for an accountability partner. Or in this community, we're trying to build this community for where you guys have a place to go that's, comfortable and safe to share and express what's going on and encourage one another. And the more that it grows, hopefully that's what it evolves to. But ultimately, who you surround yourself with and who's on board with you in this journey of improving yourself matters. It really does. I would say other things too to keep in mind during this, as we're trying to become who we are, is really practicing some self-care. We're always an advocate for rest and relaxation and making sure you take care of your body. That's obviously all that we're trying to do. You've got to be patient as you're trying to figure this out. It's not something that happens overnight. I think so many times we want to be so much further ahead than we actually are. And that's of course because we see it, but we just sometimes it just takes a little time to simmer. I obviously know way more at my age 40 than I did at 35, and I did at 25, and I did it, it's obviously part of life, is creating that wisdom long-term and trying to really figure out what's that end goal. And for a lot of us, especially when we believe in heaven and all that, there isn't an after, there isn't an end. It's really trying to be the best we can on this planet and serve people and love people. And how can we give back and all of that stuff. But your goals and your day-to-day is just as important, as the people that you have in your life around you or that you're helping or supporting or whatever. So I think really, we have to make sure that inner dialogue is that positive experience of what we want to be, who we want to become, continuing to repeat that mantra, whether you've got sticky notes on your mirror or computer, or you write something down, or you have something that you do every day. I mean, affirmations have their place, really, honestly, that having that positive reinforcement of like, I am a strong, active, healthy person. I am a good wife. I am a good friend. I am a good daughter. This narrative to continue to help you get closer to whatever that end result is of who do you want to be? What do you want to become? What do you want to do with your career? What do you want to do with your health? Like when you get to a point where you lose weight, what's the next goal? Like that's the kind of fun part is, hey, when we lose weight and we keep it off and we learn how to maintain it, that next level is like, all right, body composition goals, let's go. That's our next journey after we get to that certain point, because guess what? The health and fitness stuff, it never stops. We get to modify some things. Maybe we get to track a little bit less, but ultimately the habits that we're doing now, the walking, the sleep, stress management, hydration, the protein targets, eating enough food to fuel your body properly for your goals, resistance training, like all of that has to be a part of your life forever to maintain and build and grow and stay healthy. So we definitely have the long game in mind. But if there are certain things, like I think I even saw some posts and just kind of like how a birthday can kind of help you reflect on where you want to be, or you've got an upcoming birthday that's a big deal. Like the decade birthdays are really kind of those big milestones where you hit a new decade, right? And you're kind of like, okay, what did I do in my 30s? Now what do I want to do in my 40s? And so I just kind of kept thinking like this journey has so many ups and downs with it. So many things in life can impact us. And really that positive reinforcement in your brain, telling yourself who you want to be, having those healthy mantras that you do on the daily to tell your brain what to do. I will always be an advocate for tell your brain what you want it to do, because it will start to listen. It's kind of weird, it's kind of like where they say like, hey, maybe I think laughter is medicine, right? Because you can watch a movie and all of a sudden it's positive endorphins in your body. And I think we've even seen stories of people who've been very, very ill and used certain natural things or humor or positive experience or that personal care to help restore and heal their bodies, which is pretty incredible. So that was my thought today on like trying to think of like when I'm trying to think of topics for every Wednesday, what is going to be relevant. And I think that's where, it's an important reminder to keep this long-term. Who do you want to be? Speak that into existence by creating mantras around who you want to be and create that lifestyle around who you want to be. So that is all I have for you this evening. I will be going live. I mean, again, if you see this before 7 p.m., I will be going live and doing a new YouTube on fat loss plateaus. So I will be posting that on YouTube as well for all y'all to catch that. But I hope this was of some value and that you have learned something or were inspired or encouraged for the rest of the week. Let me know if you need anything. We appreciate y'all. And I will talk to you soon.